All for joining us. My name is Gianna Williams, and I am an outreach specialist for the City of Dallas Water Utilities in the Water Conservation Division. Um, Earth Day Every Day is a result of the combined efforts of the Central Library and the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability, and it aims to highlight the many ways that we can care for the planet on more than just Earth Day. This longstanding partnership between OEQS and the library has produced many informational programs that cover a variety of environmental topics and ways that everything ties into one another. Today's Earth Day Everyday event is part of Dallas's recognition of the Environmental Protection Agency's Water Sense program's annual Fix a Leak Week, happening this year from the 16th through the 22nd of March. Fix a Leak Week is a chance to do an audit of the plumbing in and around your home, learn about any leaks and how to fix them. Leaks account for about 1 trillion gallons of water wasted nationwide each year. Oftentimes, our toilets, shower heads, sprinkler systems, and faucets waste water without us noticing. But those drips add up. A faucet with a leak rate of 1 drip per second can waste about 3,000 gallons per year. With today's program, you will have the opportunity to hear from experienced professionals that hope to help you save water by addressing the leaks that may be wasting our most precious resource, water. Presenting today, we have 3 employees with the Water Conservation Division of Dallas Water Utilities. Robert Revillas is a senior inspector who has been doing indoor plumbing inspections for the city since 2017. He'll be providing demonstrations of some common plumbing problems and how to address them. Then we'll be hearing from Luis Rayo and William Bosland. They are the division's irrigation specialists, and between the two of them have decades of experience working on irrigation and landscape systems. Together, they will be helping us better understand our outdoor irrigation systems. We are fortunate to have these experienced professionals here and available to help us better understand the leaks around the homes and how we can fix and prevent them to save water year round. For those of us who are here in person, our water conservation professionals have brought some specific items that will be mentioned in today's presentation. They'll be on display, and if you have any questions about them, please see us after the program has ended. We also have some of our admin team here, if you guys will wave, if any of you would like to sign up for any of the programs that we offer. So, and if anybody needs a Spanish version of this presentation, we have a PDF version, and for those of us here in person, we have printed copies. And without further ado, let us learn about saving water. Come on in. Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Morning, Robert, as Jana mentioned, thank y'all for coming. Today we'll be demonstrating, I think Gianna already covered this, 10% of homes waste about 90 gallons of water per day. How household leaks waste nearly 1 trillion gallons of water per year nationwide. So you should have a checklist provided to you today to go through your home and check for leaks. It's really important. So today we'll be going through we'll have a video on how to complete a toilet leak detection test. I'll demonstrate how to replace a leaking toilet flapper and how to replace a clogged faucet aerator and how to install a water sense shower head. We have a short video. Here we have the components of a toilet tank, but the leak detection is pretty self-explanatory. And I do have some leak tablets here. You can get them at your hardware stores, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, places like that, or order on Amazon. Uh, Again, you drop one in your tank, wait 15 minutes, and the water turns blue in your bowl. This part down here, then more than likely, 90% of the time, it's going to be the flapper. Okay. How do you know if your faucet aerator is not working properly? If your faucet has low water flow or restricted water flow. So that means that when you turn your faucet on in the morning and this thing, you're not hardly getting any water out of it, or it's spraying out to the side or anything like that, more than likely it's clogged up, and it just picks up sediment from the pipes underneath your house and coming, the main pipes in the streets as well. Similar to this or something smaller, whatever you like. A small cloth that you want to wrap around the aerator so you don't scratch it in case you're not going to replace that one, or you check the condition of it. So basically you put the pliers on there. This one has a couple of slots that are flat, so you can put your pliers on there, and left to counterclockwise to unscrew it out. And then when you get it out, you want to inspect it. Okay. More likely, if you're having a restricted water flow, this part right here will be clogged up with a bunch of sediment in there. So you can take that apart. Just make sure you put it back together correctly, and you can, if you want to just reuse it, you can drop it in vinegar overnight. Okay. Get it back, rinse it off in the morning, and then reinstall it. And if it works, then great, you did a good job. If not, then you might want to replace it. And you can find those at your Home Depot and Ace. And you might want to take the one you have on your current faucet, take it in so you can match it up. And a lot of these are threaded on the inside. They have inside and outside threads. Okay. And to reinstall it, you just put it back in there, force right to tighten. And then you test it by just turning your water. If everything comes out more than you did good. Okay. Yeah, let's get it. And like I said, when you do the dye test and your water turns blue, 90% of the time it's going to be your flapper. And for my hands and the camera purposes, we brought a tank in, but it's too small, so I took this out. But this is basically your flush valve. This is a 2-inch flush valve, normally for 1.28 gallons per flush. And this is your flapper right here, and it has a couple of little ears here, and most of them are made of rubber. Okay, and to remove it, you just unsnap it like that. Well, first, keep forgetting, sorry. You want to turn your water supply. You want to flush it. You want to turn your water off to your toilet. This is a compression half turn. Most of the houses have the ones that you just screw all the way in, and it shuts it off. And to open it's counterclockwise to let the water. So you want to shut that off. You want to grab some gloves if you don't want to get your hands wet, and flush it. Make sure everything goes down, and then you can go to your flapper. And you can they're all basically the same. They just unsnap. Okay. And then you remove it from your toilet, from your flush lever. Just remove it from there, unhook it with a little chain. And then to replace it, normally this is 3 inches. So you'll need a 2-inch flapper. If you have a 3-inch flush valve, then it'll come 4, meaning it's a 3-inch flush valve. Okay? The outside diameter is 3 for 2, and 4 for 3. Okay, and to replace it, you just drop it back in. You attach the flapper to the ears here, and then reconnect. reconnect it to your toilet handle. And then turn your water supply back on. And then if you want, you can drop another dye tab in there and check. And if your water doesn't turn blue in the bowl, then you fix your problem. Okay, next, Teflon tape. It basically helps the thread seep deeper and makes it easier to tighten. It creates a watertight seal between two threaded pipes. So basically, this is a shower arm that I have here. I already did this one, but basically, again, you can get this at your plumbing supply store, Home Depot, or anything. They have plenty of them. What you do is grab it and you put it on your threads. Okay, like so. And you want to go kind of clockwise with it. Okay. You want to be stretching it so that you can see the threads through the Teflon tape. You stretch it, you can see the threads there. Okay. Wrap it around 2 or 3 times. Cut it with a knife, scissors, or just pull it off. Okay. And before you remove your shower head, you want to check in here for the old washers. There's washers inside the shower head. Pull this. Anyway, it's not going to come out, but there's one in there. Okay. And a lot of times they stay stuck in here. And I've removed some where there's 2 or 3 washers stuck in there. And they're like, why am I not getting any water flow? And then just take your oven off, left, counterclockwise to loosen. Put your new shower head on to tighten. You might want to hand tighten it at first and then turn your shower on and see if it's leaking here where the threaded part is. If not, then you just want to give it like a 1/4 turn, snug, good to go. Okay, just check it. It's not leaking. Again, after the presentation, you can ask me any questions if you have any. We have some giveaways here. We also, if you want to replace the flapper, we have some extra flappers and also aerators if you'd like to take with you. Okay, I'm done with our presentation. Thank you for coming.
If there's anything that you guys are wondering about, we do have some aerators, the flappers and things like that, and Robert will be available afterwards to kind of, if you have questions about that, anything about the presentation, feel free to ask him. And also for anybody that's online, feel free to drop a question in the chat and we'll get to them into the live. Huh?
Good morning. My name is Will. I'm an irrigation specialist with the city of Dallas. We have a program that if you have an irrigation system at your home, we can come out and do a full inspection of it once annually for free. Today, I'm going to go through the components that you'll see in a typical irrigation system, show you where there's the potential for a leak and how we would solve that issue. So with any irrigation system, especially here in Dallas, the water supply for your irrigation is the same as the water supply for your home. So the water coming in to your irrigation system is the same water that you bathe with, drink, cook with. It's treated potable water. It's going to come in from the city supply, and the first thing is going to go through your water meter. The water meter belongs to the city. So if you ever see a leak in the valve box or around the meter, call 311 and the city's responsible to come out and repair that. After the water meter, typically your supply pipe is going to diverge to the house and to the irrigation system. Once it goes to the irrigation system, we really suggest having an isolation valve for the irrigation system. That way, if there's any issue on the irrigation system at all, you can close the water supply while leaving the water supply to your house on, but for the system, it's shut off. After an isolation valve, we have what's called a backflow prevention device. This is a very important piece. It keeps any water that's in your irrigation system from moving backwards into your drinking water. Say there was a broken pipe down the road, any water pressure in that system is now going to start moving towards that break. And so the water that's sitting in the sprinkler pipes, the irrigation pipes, has the potential to move backwards and mix in with your drinking water. Typically, this is what we call a double check valve. This is typically what we see in Dallas. There's many different types, but these are the most common around here. It's usually in a large green box right after your water meter in the yard. One of the other benefits of having a backflow prevention device is it has two isolation valves built into it. The purpose of these valves is so that a licensed backflow prevention assembly tester can test your device and make sure that it's working properly. Another benefit is they serve as a way to shut off your irrigation system in case something breaks again. Turn one of these handles 90 degrees, and essentially the water supply is shut off. After the backflow device, you'll see usually what's the biggest pipe in your system, and this is what we call the main line, your irrigation main line. It's constantly under pressure. So if there's anytime a leak or a break in this pipe, that water is going to continue to run until the system is turned off. So if you see water just coming out of the ground, it's most likely your mainline pipe. One thing we can do to prevent leaks, continuous leaks in the main line, is install what we call a master valve. So it's a valve just like any other valve in your system that I'll talk about shortly, but its goal is to sit on the main line and stay closed when the irrigation system isn't running. When your irrigation controller tells the system to run, this valve will open up and allow water into your irrigation system. With the valve closing when the system's not running, if you do have a leak or a break in the main line, it's not going to leak until the system's running. So instead of 24 hours a day that leak going, it's only going to go 3 to 4, and that way you can kind of minimize the amount of water lost. So attached to your main line are the zone valves. This is what opens to allow your sprinklers to run. So if you have an irrigation system in your yard and you notice that, say, one section comes on and it waters the lawn, another section comes on and waters the beds, the front or the back, each one of those sections is going to have a valve. The valve connects to the controller, and so it's a mix of electrical components, metal components, rubber components, and a lot of moving pieces. So the valves are a very common issue on irrigation systems. If you have a leaking valve, there's two things that you'll notice. First is that the sprinklers will turn on and they won't turn off. So if you've ever been driving around town and see the sprinklers running at 1 in the afternoon and a large lake forming in the road, that's because that valve didn't close. The other issue is the valve won't close completely. And you'll notice this by maybe 1 or 2 of the sprinklers at your home, just continually having a little bit of water coming out, and a wet spot around that sprinkler and just a small drip coming out of the sprinkler head. That's caused by the valve not closing all the way. Commonly, there is debris that can get in it to keep it from closing, or also the components in the valve have just worn out over time and they're not creating a seal. When this occurs, the best thing to do is to call a licensed irrigator and have them come and diagnose and solve the problem. As I said, they're very there's a lot of moving components. It's a very common issue. A licensed irrigator is going to know how to pull this thing apart, put it back together, and get it working fairly simply. After your valve, you have what's now called a lateral pipe. And the main difference between your lateral pipe and your mainline pipe is that the lateral pipe is only going to have water in it once this valve opens up. So once the sprinkler system's running, water is going to enter the lateral pipe. So a leak in your lateral pipe is a little harder to detect because it's only going to leak when the system's operating. The benefit to that is, again, it's not going to run 24/7. It's only going to be leaking when the system's told to operate. A licensed irrigator can fix one of these very quickly. You can do it yourself. Depending on your experience, you're going to have to cut and glue pipe. Again, if you have any concerns about, if you think you have a lateral pipe leak and want to fix it, the best thing to do is to hire a licensed irrigator. So at the end of your lateral pipe is where your sprinklers live. So your sprinkler is attached to the lateral pipe in a couple different ways, most commonly with what we call a riser. So the riser connects the sprinkler head to the lateral pipe below ground. Risers are made of a thinner plastic on purpose. It helps you to make it the right height. So this is what we call a cutoff riser. Basically, there's segments in it that you can cut to get your sprinkler so that the head is level with the ground and the riser is fitting in the pipe. The reason behind a thinner plastic is that this is much easier to replace than your lateral pipe. So these are designed to break first. Kind of like NASCAR, the car is meant to explode when it hits a wall to transfer all that energy. The riser is meant to break before any other component can. So that way it's a little bit of an easier fix. Lawnmowers, cars, the Amazon delivery guy are really good at hitting the sprinkler heads, and that riser is going to snap. So you can go to the home store. They sell these in two different sizes. Typically, there's a 1/2 inch size, which I have here, and a 3/4 inch size. Your standard pop-up sprinkler is going to fit on a 1/2 inch size. The larger rotor heads, the ones that kind of turn and water a larger part of the property, those are going to be the bigger size. Just take the broken piece with you and match it up. Then you take your riser, determine your height down to the lateral pipe, determine where you want your sprinkler to sit. So for this example, here's where my soil level is. So if I attach this at the top of the riser, my sprinkler head is going to be sitting above the grass line. By cutting it to the right height, I can make sure that that sprinkler is in the soil and kind of protected from the lawnmower that goes over it. Your standard pop-up sprinkler consists of two main parts. You have your body and you have your riser assembly. The body's basically just a casing to hold this. On your riser assembly, you have the piece the stem that comes up and rises above the grass so you can water on top of it. And this collar on the riser assembly is what's meant to keep water from coming out between the body housing and the sprinkler. Inside this piece, it's called the wiper seal. There is a small rubber gasket about the size of a rubber band. Over time, it wears out. So if you notice when your sprinklers are running that there is water coming out of this piece, that's because the wiper seal has gone bad. They sell just the wiper seal at some stores. Really, the easiest thing to do is just buy a new sprinkler. It unscrews from the riser and basically lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and much easier fix than trying to disassemble the wiper seal and put it back together. On top of the riser is what's called your nozzle, and this is where the water comes out. It distributes it in a pattern in order to match up with the other sprinklers and spread the water more evenly across your landscape. Nozzles have a certain nomenclature to them. You'll see that they have a number and a letter on them. So like the one I have here, it says 15H. That means it's going to throw 15 feet in a half circle. So there is an F for a full circle full 360, H for a half circle, 180 degrees, and Q for a quarter circle, 90 degrees. What you want to do when replacing your nozzle or replacing your sprinkler is make sure that that number and that letter match up. The nozzle has a pretty small opening in it. It tends to clog up, and also it can stick up above the ground and makes it a very easy target for the lawnmower or the string trimmer. So if it doesn't seat completely, this sticks up and it gets chopped off. The easiest way to repair it is we have a certain tool. If you're interested, we can give you one afterwards, and it allows you to pull the riser up, and then you clip the tool around the stem, and it will hold it up for you. The method I found that's a little bit easier is to basically just turn your irrigation system on, do a visual inspection, and if you see anywhere that the nozzle is not working properly, I take one of these paper binder clips, slide it around the stem, and then when I turn the system off, it's going to keep this above ground and allow me to access the nozzle much easier. So again, with the nozzles, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, they come right off. You can take this part with you to the big box store, match up the number and the letter, and then take your new one, put it back in, and tighten it down. When you put a new nozzle in, it's important that you tighten it all the way. So there's a little bit of a pattern on here. It'll show you where it's watering, but you want to make sure it's tight. The nozzle is on there tight, and then you're going to adjust it by turning the stem, the riser. So they're designed for ratchet to point in the direction you want it to water. So again, put your new nozzle on, turn the sprinkler system on. You can see where the pattern's spraying. If you notice it's spraying over the sidewalk or the driveway or facing the house, you can just grab the riser and turn it to where it has the right pattern. Those are basically any irrigation system you have is going to have some kind of setup of these components. This is a pretty simplified model, but if you just extend this to more of the same pieces, you have an irrigation system very likely to what you would have at your house. So my partner Luis is going to talk about kind of the efficiency of systems, a little more about the nozzles, and kind of how to think about how much water our irrigation system's actually using.
Okay, so hi, my name is Luis. I'm an irrigation specialist with the city of Dallas as well. And I'm going to talk about the efficiency of our system. The efficiency of our system comes from all the equipment that Will pointed out. If a break in any of these points happen, our efficiency isn't going to be as good as we would hope. So I'm going to talk a little more about the nozzles and how the efficiency of the nozzle will help us to consume our water better and to put it where it matters instead of watering the sidewalk or your neighbor's home. So in this example that we have here, we're just showing one zone. You could have a system with multiple zones. Depending on the size of your property, you can have up to 10 zones. If it's a small home, you can have about 4 zones. So in this example that we have here, this design, we have 6 different types of nozzles. We have quarters, we have halves, and we have fulls. Each one of them has a different consumption. As you can see, our quarter is consuming 0.92. Our half is consuming 1.85. And our full is consuming 3.78 gallons per minute. So once we come up with how much each one of these is consuming, and we come up with how each one of these nozzles is supposed to cover the areas, we will figure out what we need. So in this example, what we have is the one in the center is the bigger one. It has a bigger pattern to cover. So that's a 360 that's going to cover both the line over here and the lines on the bottom towards the halves. And then we have the half that are covering 180 degrees, and they're just covering half the pattern of what that full nozzle is covering. And then our quarter is covering a 90-degree angle, and it's just covering from one half to the other half. And that's called head-to-head coverage. And that's what you want to see in a properly working system. You want to make sure that you have the proper coverage, head-to-head coverage. If you have something smaller than this, let's say that you're in need of a 15, but you have a 10, then you have 5 feet that you're not covering. So we want to make sure we have the proper size nozzle to have the proper coverage to be able to water the areas that we need water. And in our example, we're showing you what each nozzle is consuming. Like I mentioned, our quarters are consuming 0.92 gallons. The two quarters together are consuming 1.84 gallons a minute. Our halves are consuming 1.85. The three of them together are consuming 5.55 gallons per minute. And our full is consuming 3.70 gallons a minute. All of them together are consuming 11.9 gallons a minute. And in a runtime of 8 minutes, we're consuming 88 gallons. If we run our system for 15 minutes, we would be consuming 166 gallons. Something that we commonly bring up with our customers is how much water you can consume when you run a shower, because a shower is the closest thing you have to a nozzle as far as putting out that water. A modern shower consumes about 2.5 gallons per minute. If you take an 8-minute shower, you'll be consuming about 20 gallons. If you take a 15-minute shower, you'll be consuming about 37 gallons. And if we kind of compare the two, by taking a 15-minute shower, you'll be consuming 37.5 gallons. But if you irrigate your one zone for 15 minutes, you'll be consuming 166 gallons just on that one zone. Now, if you have multiple zones, you can triple, quadruple that amount of gallons that you're consuming. And you can also see the difference between the two. You're consuming almost 130 gallons more by running your irrigation for 15 minutes versus taking a 15-minute shower. And here we're kind of breaking down how and where a lot of these problems can happen, and what we often see out in the field when we're evaluating systems. One of the things we see is the direction of where our nozzle is spraying. As you can see, that one is spraying towards the sidewalk. Really, you won't get nothing out of that. So just like Will mentioned, just make sure and turn that stem from the head to the right side into the grass. That way, we'll cover the right area. Another thing is the connection of the head and the PVC our riser our our head can leak from the connection from our head to our PVC, and a lot of times that goes undetected until you happen to walk around that area, step on a puddle, and then you know that you have a problem underneath that you haven't seen. Depending on the pressure that you have on the system, a lot of times you can't notice that you have a leak because you have such high pressure. But sometimes you have very low pressure, And if you have a very minor leak on any of the lines or on any of the connections, you'll be able to catch right away that something is leaking because your pressure is just gonna drop even more. Also, another problem that we tend to see is heads that are straight. Sometimes they're just leaning sideways and spraying upwards, or sometimes they're just spraying straight into the dirt, making a hole. And for those, we want to make sure they're straight. That way we get the most out of our nozzles. We're spraying the proper areas. On our example right here, a broken head can waste 25,000 gallons in 6 months. And the connection of the pipes can leak as well, and we can waste up to 6,300 gallons of water per month. Now, all of these connections, all of these things that we don't see can waste water really quick due to the design of our system. And those are that's water consumption that we're not seeing, and that a lot of times we don't expect. Just like we'll mention, just doing a quick walk around the home will show us a lot. Because a lot of times we'll be able to see if we have low pressure or if we have puddles of water in different areas of the home. So that would be all I have for you guys. If you have any additional questions, you can always come up to us. We'll more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
If anybody has any questions online or here, the professionals are here to answer anything that you guys might have. Pressing. Yes.
So, a couple questions. The prior presenter, and I'm sorry, I'm bad with names.
No worries.
You talked about a licensed irrigation specialist versus like calling a licensed plumber would not be the same, or is there additional training that they're getting in some way?
So in the state of Texas, you're required to work on an irrigation system. You're required to have a minimum of an irrigator's license. A plumber is also allowed to work on an irrigation system. The difference being plumbers don't traditionally have as much experience on irrigation systems, and they tend to be more expensive. But you want to make sure you're using either a licensed plumber or a licensed irrigator. A licensed irrigator has to carry their license on them at all times. It has to be on their vehicle with a minimum of 4 inches tall. And any advertisement has to have their license number on it. So if you see someone advertising, say they have 20 years of experience, but you don't see their license number on that advertisement, it's a good warning sign that they're not licensed.
And then, I actually had a second question around, if you see, like, I see a lot of commercial and multi, like apartment buildings where the sprinklers are just like soaking the sidewalks or the roads. Are we able to report that to 311 if we
Yes.
see that?
Yep. Give codes.
Video and upload?
Sure. Call 311, ask them what they need. Usually it's just the address and they can send codes out there, and that would be a code violation.
We have a question from online. Evelyn Davis asked, I have an older shower head. Is there a particular shower head that I should buy in order to preserve water?
Mainly what you buy today, everything is designed to conserve water. Yeah, in 1994, Congress passed a law that everything had to go low flow. So that's when they came out with the low flow toilets, also shower heads, and also fixtures like kitchen faucet, lavatory faucets. So, you know, basically they can get up to 2.5 gallons per minute on the shower head, but normally 1.75 is pretty standard on the shower head. But yeah, it puts out less water, and that's to conserve water for the future.
A couple questions. So, going back to the irrigation, would you say like the typical causes or sources of the leaks are usually like the damage from the heads or like the gaskets? Or anything?
Yeah, it's in really, the rubber components tend to fail first because they're sitting in water, like the wiper seal on the sprinkler or inside the valve here. There's a rubber gasket that moves up and down whenever the valve turns on.
Time for a week.
So those are gonna fail first. Anything with a moving part tends to fail first. Another issue we run into kind of specifically towards Dallas is with our clay soils that shrink and expand. In times of drought, that clay soil is gonna shrink, and then there's not as much support for the pipes in the ground. So anytime the sprinkler turns on, you get what's technical term pipe shimmy, where the pipe kind of moves back and forth, or water hammer, where that water is moving back and forth, and it can tend to break the fittings. Irrigation systems are plastic components. They are under pressure and they move. The water's causing things to move. So it's very common for things to break on them. That's why we really suggest, if you can, once a month, go out, turn the system on and just look at it. And you really see a leak or a break is pretty obvious.
I mean, once a month.
Once a month, I would suggest, especially during the heat of the summer, because it's also running, we suggest running the system early morning. That's the best chance we have at cooler weather. There's less wind. And so we're usually sleeping at that time. And so when you wake up in the morning, if there was a break, you might not even see a puddle because our soil takes that water back in. So if you can, run 1 minute on each zone once a month on a Saturday and just make sure everything's running as it should be.
And one of the things I found to be really helpful for my lawn, I have a large lawn and landscape area, is the cycle and soak method. Instead of just letting it run 15 minutes or 12 minutes, just to let it run all the zones, 2 to 3 minutes, and let them rest between. That's been really great, and I think it saved water, and my lawn loves it. And really, the roots are deep, and just as that says, so it's been great. But I didn't know that I should run it at least always once a month.
Once a month.
And I didn't realize those pipes were moving either. That makes so much sense when you explain that.
It's kind of a double-edged sword that in times of drought, we see more pipes break. So we're losing more water when we need it even more.
Now I think I know why there's a corner that always breaks. Or why the angle is going down and then turning the corner and going up, and that's probably one of the that's all shimmy there in that corner. Okay, great to know. I do have a question about aerators. Does every faucet have one? Because it looks to me like one of my bathroom faucets, it's either really recessed, it's kind of a different looking faucet, or maybe it doesn't have one, but do they all typically have one?
Typically, they all come with
It'll have one.
Yeah, the recessed ones now, when they install them, they come with a little tool to take those out. It's almost like a little castle thing where it's got slots in the aerator because it's recessed. You get that tool, so you have to save it when you install a new faucet. It's in there to be able to remove it. A lot of people just throw the box away and that tool is gone, but it does have a little tool to remove the aerator. Yeah, but typically they all come with one nowadays.
May I ask you a question about outdoor faucet? I have one that apparently was originally kind of putty or glued up. So most of the pipe has come out and it's broken. Do I need to have that fixed, or is it okay to coming out a little? I do cover it in winter months, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
typically when they build a house, they put them real close to the house, but if it's soldered, you either have to break the brick out or go inside the house and cut a hole inside the house to get it to unsolder, depending on when your house is made. Now they use a frost proof, and typically it's just a threaded frost proof. So, but they come in 4, 6, and 8 links. So typically they'll go in with the pliers or a pipe wrench and they'll see if it it's got threads. If it doesn't move, then typically it's pretty it's soldered inside. But yeah, the pipe coming out, it's best to come out a little bit, 2 or 3 inches from the wall, especially if it has like a coupling on it, you can extend it out further so you can be able to turn it off and on and to replace it. They don't never think when they're building the homes that you're ever gonna have to replace it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question online, they said that they're receiving mailers passively aggressively stating that their water line is not protected. Do you think it is worth purchasing the service?
I can't comment.
That would be a customer service question. Suggestions, please.
I mean, they're not coming from the city of Dallas.
Oh, that's.
They're not
Oh,
coming
no.
from the city of Dallas. That's not like home warranty protection that they're trying to say.
It might be
They
a
gotta be
fraud.
careful with that.
We had that happen a couple of years ago, so yeah, it'd be best to call 311 for that.
Does anybody else have any questions for our professionals up here?
Yeah, I go over. So, maybe people like me are not necessarily interested in getting an irrigation system. Is there, I guess, two parts. If I want to stick with, something, sprinkler for my hose, is there some that are more efficient? They're more efficient that I'm looking at, or
The most efficient type is for you to hold the hose in the spot. When it comes to the other, there's a lot of availability out there. There's even some that have a wet face program in them now. What you want to look at is make sure you're operating that on some kind of a timer. What we see a lot of is the hose gets turned on with the sprinkler, go inside, make dinner, catch the news, something, and that thing's running for hours at a time before it's remembered to turn off. So if possible, you could put a battery operated, or some kind of timer on the hose spigot that's attaching it so that you can turn it on, let it run and know it's running for say 20, 30 minutes at a time only. Or just make sure that you have an alarm on your phone. And you want run it until the point you don't want to see any puddling. So the first time you try it out, make sure it's covering the area you like to see, and run it until you start to see puddling, and then know that's the maximum you can run it at one time.
Anything else? Oh, there's one more.
On my system, I have a sprinkler head, and no matter what is done, it always hits the fence and makes that arc on the fence, ruins my stain. Every year I'm out there fixing it anyway. I was thinking, do you think, you don't know, of course, you haven't seen the system, but is it possible to just dig under the fence, do a little trench and add a piece and put that sprinkler head, in other words, adjust it, put one on the other side and then move that one away so it doesn't hit the fence? Or is it probably at its maximum?
I think it would depend on the design of where that head is sitting. Because the way that you describe it, if it's hitting the fence, and if it's already a fixed nozzle, like
It's one of the biggest. I've got that goes to a big area.
Does it rotate or just spray?
It just sprays out.
it sounds like it's a fixed nozzle. So what you can do on those instances, that's aside of the fixed nozzle, there's a band, and that band you can adjust the throw or the arc of that sprinkler head, so that way you don't really hit the fence. But yeah, it would depend on how and where that head is seated. Because yeah, if it was designed to kind of hit that corner and this corner, you would have to add another head right here so that it would throw this way, and then kind of shorten this one so that you won't get the fence.
So in Luis's example up there, where it showed the sprinkler
Back
the
on.
okay.
So an efficient system is designed with what we call head-to-head coverage. So you have one sprinkler watering to the next sprinkler. And you can see ideally kind of in a square or a triangle pattern there. So if you wanted to move that sprinkler away from the fence so that it's not hitting it, you would want to look at. So say this is your fence and this is the sprinkler. If you move that sprinkler up, you then need to adjust it to hit these other sprinklers. That's where the concern would be, is that you could move a dry spot or move a wet spot when you move that sprinkler.
Thank you. Feel free to call everyone by phone. And we'll, and then you can have it irrigated soon. Okay. Thank you.
It's a free service once a year for any DW customer will come out and evaluate your entire system.
Actually, while you are on that, if you don't mind sharing with the people online, because for everybody that's here, we do have some pamphlets about our programs. But if you don't, each mind sharing a little bit more about the free programs that we offer, like you just said about the irrigation shit.
So it's a free system. Go to our website, savedallaswater.com, or call our office. And it's a simple application. We just need your address and your Dallas Water Utilities account number. And we will call you and schedule a time to come look at the property. We look at the water meter first to make sure we don't see what's called registration on the meter, meaning there's water moving through your meter when nothing's running. Then we'll go to the controller, look at the programming on your irrigation controller, run a 2-minute test on all zones, look for any breaks, leaks, adjustments, or improvements that can be made to the system. And then we can go back to the meter and we can calculate how many gallons your current programming would consume and calculate an expected consumption, what we'd expect you to use in peak summer. Answer any questions you have about your controller. And any ways we can find you to save water and money.
Also, one question we get often is, are you guys gonna fix this? So for that one, we do suggest to contact the licensed irrigator. We're just going to provide you with a list of things that need to be adjusted or work on, but we don't work on any of this stuff ourselves.
Thank you.
And we also have a minor repair program that we come out and fix minor leaks in your home. Covers kitchen faucets, lavatory faucets, tub faucets, toilet replacement, P-traps, shower heads, and outdoor faucets. Typically the lingo for that is hose bibs outside, and you can also call our office at 214-670-3155. Your admins will be happy to take your information and see if you qualify for the program. And also we have a toilet program, a need throw for your home. You have 2 options there. You can apply for a voucher and you're allowed 2 toilets per household. And the voucher, you get a voucher and then you actually go to your designated area. There's our supplier sets up in different areas of the city. So and it's Ferguson Plumbing Supply, and you can turn in that voucher and they'll give you a free toilet. The thing with that is that you have to have someone install it for you. Okay, the other program, you could get a credit. You can go buy the toilet of your choice at Home Depot, or you can buy a couple of Glacier Bays, and they'll give you $90 per toilet credit on your water bill. That's the other program we have.
I have a question online saying that Dallas Water gave out shower timers. Are those still available?
So we give them out at random events, and we do have like, or are they talking about the
Shower time, 5-minute shower.
yes, but isn't there another thing like, we have the ones that you can stick in your shower and it goes off. But
They send, if it's one, we can send it to them, we can mail it to them. Just send us their address and their information.
any other question? If not, we will thank our gentleman up here and we'll come on. And as we mentioned before, if there's anything that you guys are interested in, like we have pop-up tools, we have some aerators and things like that. Everything's over there. Please come talk to our professionals if you have any questions about that. If you want one, if you need one at home, Thank you.
Just on the recording, will that be a link to that mailed out in case I want to share it with folks who couldn't be here?
Yes, did you sign in?
I did.
Okay, perfect. We'll make sure to send it out.